Peace. All praise and glory to the mighty Most High, our Creator, who is one God. Blessings to all the children that serve one God. Love you. We're here in Leviticus 1. I've made it through the first two chapters, Genesis and now Exodus, moving into Leviticus. And I'm enjoying this. It's hard sometimes to get up here in front of this camera every time and do these shows and share this information and do it with little reward. But I only pray that the reward that I get comes later in the life after. I hope everybody's having a beautiful day. I would, if I had thousands and thousands of subscribers and I knew that people would jump in, I'd go ahead and I'd hold off for a bit. But since, my channel, it's really weird. I was looking at a channel today. The woman opened her channel on the 20th of June last month, 2023. She's made like about 22 videos and she has 68,000 views already on 22 videos in 37 days. I've been pumping out this truth for over 2 years, and I had another year that I was pumping it out on another channel that was shut down, and then other channels of mine, just by the names of the channel alone that deal with 666, they would shut my channel right down. So I've been rolling with this channel now for about, this was a backup channel, so I've only been working on this channel here for a little bit over a year. So I've pumped out a lot of information over the last year. I'm up over 380 videos, pretty close to probably about 280 to 300 hours of biblical content in reading all these scriptures. By putting the scriptures up on the board, there's nobody on the face of the earth that can say to me, bro, you're reading it out of context, because I'm showing you word for word what's taking place here on this plane of existence. We've got to learn that there is two creations, okay? The more I read the Bible, the more I believe that the supreme creator, the self-existing eternal spirit of truth, the living God, the supreme being, the force that moves all things in place, the eternal, okay, perpetual, always existing, always here, folks. One God. That's who we worship here at this channel. We worship one. We don't worship multiple gods. We don't place gods beside God. We don't put them to the left of them, to the right of them, and none that sit on the right hand of authority. He tells us over and over in this book that he is one God. And we're starting to get into it where he's going to start speaking more. You got to understand, who is it that Moses is speaking with? This is why my lessons seem so repetitious to everybody, because I keep going over the same thing. Well, the same thing's being said. I'm starting to realize that the stories inside of Exodus here, in Exodus chapter 28 and Exodus chapter 38, those two chapters are almost similar, like two books like Mark and Luke writing, or Matthew writing the parables and writing the last words of Jesus and stuff, and writing parts of the New Testament. All their testimony is aligned. The reason why they have it written like that in the New Testament isn't because the I don't even like calling them prophets, but those that followed Jesus, their storylines were all similar to one another. The words were changed here and there. So you got to ask, when Jesus died on the cross, you have 4 different prophets giving 3 different testimonies. One is saying, what is it? That Eli, Sebastian, why are you forsaking me? And then you have the other one said that it is finished. And then he breathed his last breath. And off the top of my head, I can't remember the other one. But the bottom line is, what my point is, there are 3 different testimonies of Jesus Christ's last words on the cross. That doesn't make sense. So you got to start looking at these allegories. You got to start looking at these parables, how they're being written. What is it that's really being said? So So let's jump into Leviticus 1. I'm pretty pumped and excited about this. Give me a second here. Give me a little bit of room here so I can stand. All right. And then we come in a little bit. Give me a second. Okay, peace. Let's roll. Let's get rolling here. Leviticus 1, the Lord called for Moses and spoke to him. This is big. The Lord called for Moses. Well, when you generally call for somebody, you're making a call for somebody, that means that somebody's sent to you. So the Lord called for Moses. Who did he use as a messenger to bring this information? Did he call for Moses in a dream, in a vision, in a sleep? Moses, come to me. You got to ask questions like this. The Lord called for Moses and spoke to him from the tent of meeting. So now he spoke with words, vocal cords. So now we know that whoever is talking is speaking with vocal cords. All right. He said, speak to the Israelites and say to them, when anyone among you brings an offering to the Lord, bring as your offering an animal, either from the herd or the flock. So now let's ask a question here. The Spirit, the eternal Spirit, is telling Moses to bring him burnt offerings. Tell me, does anybody, if outside of this realm where the supreme being exists, where he stands, does anybody think that there's anything being fed from anything other than the Spirit of truth, the living God, the one that moves all things in place? He's the one that feeds the souls and the spirits on the other side of the realm. Those that are moving things around us where we can't see things. He's the one that does it all. If the offering is a burnt offering from the herd, you are to offer a male without defect. Without defect. Well, why is that important to me? Because everything that the Creator asks for, he says, when you bring him a sacrifice, and I don't buy into any kind of sacrifice at all, folks. I'm sorry. I can't, since my awakening, since the scales were removed from my eyes, since God showed me the truth, I cannot buy into the fact that a creator, the spiritual creator, would need anything or anyone at all to provide for them an offering, anything at all. But let's just go with it and say, okay, the Lord does require these sacrifices, even though you're going to find out that many parables say the opposite, that incense offerings and burnt offerings and sacrifices aren't as pleasing to the Lord as the righteous man who stands and walks upright. It's that simple. So the key here is defects. So the question to ask yourself as we read through this further and get more into the Bible is, I would say that Jesus had defects, wouldn't you? Absolutely. I would say that Jesus had defects. He was beaten like a bloody pulp. That in that particular case, being beaten like that means that you are blemished at that point in time. You must present it at the entrance to the tent of meeting so that it will be acceptable to the Lord. You are to lay your hand on the head of the burnt offering, and it will be acceptable on your behalf to make atonement for you. Make atonement for your sins. So you're going to kill something to make atonement for your sins. Now, the Bible, the reflection of the Bible from Hebrew, they're telling us is that it doesn't say do not kill, but it says do not murder, which means that you can defend your home. If somebody comes into your home and attacks you, tries to steal your belongings, well, if anybody wanted anything inside of my house, they could have anything inside of my house. Just leave the family safe and alone. And I put myself between me and my family. But that's the way it's got to be. Okay, you are to lay your hands on it, he said, in behalf as atonement. You are to slaughter. You know, why is the word laughter in the word slaughter? Because those that wrote this language, they're laughing at your asses because you can't understand the split tongue language. I'm trying to teach you that this language is a split tongue language. Okay, so you're to slaughter the bull. What if the creator, the supreme self-existing eternal creator, just decided to slaughter everything? Just, you know what? Fun and games. You know, I'm just going to wipe all this shit out. You're done. I reap everything. Slaughter it all. Everything on this plane of existence. Just slaughter it all, man. Yeah. Slaughter the bull before the Lord. Before the Lord. What's that saying? It's saying slaughter the bull in the Lord's presence. So now we know that whatever this is, it is a man. What does it say in Exodus 15:3? It says, Yahweh is a man of war. Yahweh is his name. Yahweh. Because in the Bible, here, the Bible, the Lord equals the self-existing. The self-existing, eternal creator. Okay? It is the proper name of the God of Israel. The number for the Lord is 3068. The Lord is the self-existing eternal creator. Proper name of God of Israel. The proper name of God of Israel. Now understand, what you got to understand here is these people in the providence of Israel today are not the true Jews. They're not the true Hebrew Israelites or the Yasharelites, whatever you want to call them. I hear a lot of different names for the Hebrews. The more I get into this truth, the more angles and stuff I hear from. Okay? So what's important here is to know that Exodus 15:3 says Yahweh is a man of war. Yahweh is his name. Yahweh is the Lord. Yahweh is a man of Lord. Go to Exodus 15:3 Bible Hub and read all the different definitions here. Okay? And then you're going to also see, this is what's a compelling argument for me as well, is that you have 12 tribes of Judah call God Yahweh. Okay? They call him Yah. And they also call him Yahweh. Okay? And this, folks, is 3 different names names for God. My argument is God is one God. The Spirit of truth, the living God, is one God. He's not multiple gods. So if he's one God, then that means that he probably has one name, and I mean one name, not a first name and a last name or a middle name or any of that stuff, but one name. The Creator, the self-existing eternal Spirit, the living God of truth, has one name. So when I see three names here, for me, that causes confusion, because God, I would believe, would have one name. Like, I can't think of what Madonna's her real name, her birth name, or anything like that. But her name, she became Madonna. That's one name. On service of God, that everybody that's in heaven, everybody that makes it to heaven, is going to be calling and worshiping the Creator by one name. You're not going to be having different tribes of Israel calling God three different names. So that's something to consider. Also, Jehovah. Always mess this up. Jehovah is the name for those that are in the province of Jerusalem today. Don't you find it odd that you have one race of people that are calling this Supreme Creator by this name here, and then you have another race of people inside of the province of Jerusalem today that call him Jehovah? Why don't the Israelites call God Jehovah? Because Jehovah's breakdown is Jesus, or Jesus, or Zeus, or Joseph, or Josephit, or Hosea. The names as it's passed down through the generations, through the times. You got to understand that the Creator, the self-existing eternal Spirit, what does he say? He says, you shall have no names off your lips. You shall not, does not want to hear the names of other gods depart from your lips. That's what the Lord says. So you have all these different names. Okay? You can't have different names. You got to understand that when you're born into this plane of existence, you get a memory wipe, man. Everything that you knew, your attachment to the Spirit of God is ripped from you, and you're born into this plane of existence. And then as your pineal gland calcifies, the scales start to begin on your eyes. As you get older, you fall away from God. And when you're in a child state, when you're in that child stage of mind and you're born into this realm, you're still connected to the God brain. This is why children at that very newborn age, their eyes are so wondrous. It's incredible the way that they're looking at everything and they're just taking it in. It's like awareness. God has always been eternal, but let's say that his awareness, coming into his awareness, that's what's a mind blower about it, because eternal means always existing. So that means that the Creator has always been aware. And if the Creator for eternity has always been aware, don't you kind of think it's silly to believe that we've only been here for 6,000 or 7,000 years? No, that's not true. That's what I'm trying to tell you, is that one race of people was created long before God created that second man, Adam, in the garden, and pulled the rib from the man. Okay? And then those two are separate and different from the one that's created in an image of God. Okay? So whenever we're talking about the Lord, this could cause a lot of confusion, because the Lord is also Melchizedek in the Bible. The Lord is also Gilgamesh in the Bible. You have all these stories of the Lord. So when I use the word Lord, myself, I've prayed to this living God, the Spirit, about this all the time. That I only worship one Lord, not multiple lords. This to me looks like multiple lords: Yahweh, Yahweh, Jehovah, Joseph, Hosea. These are all other lords. Even Isaac, Abraham, Jacob, Israel, all of them. They're all lords. They're all high priests, right? That's what we've been taught. And then Aaron's son, so they're asking, he's telling him to bring a slaughtered bull before the Lord. And then Aaron's sons, the priest, shall bring the blood and splash it against the altar at the entrance of the tent of meeting. So they're going to splash it on the altar that they've just built. This beautiful piece of gold and brass and platings and utensils and everything that is beautiful and clean and pure and all this. Now you're going to slap a dead animal's blood on an altar. This is why the sacrifice thing doesn't sound too cool to me personally, myself. So splash it against the altar at the entrance of the meeting. You are to skin the burnt offering and cut it into pieces. The son of Aaron, the priest, are to put fire on the altar and arrange the wood on the fire. Then Aaron's son shall arrange the pieces, including the head and the fat, on the wood of the burning on the altar. It is a burnt offering, a food offering, an aroma pleasing to the Lord. And then as I got further into the Bible and I started reading about the prophets, and I started pointing out that the prophets of God are walking contrary to God. You have Jacob, who's given up his wife in a city instead of walking around. You have Isaac that was giving up his wife in the city. The same thing, same kind of stories running through, right? And then you have Lot and his daughters, and then you have the angels and stuff, the men of Sodom and Gomorrah that wanted to lay down with the angels that came into Sodom and Gomorrah. And then you had Lot, who's saying, please don't do this evil thing to these men. And then what does Lot do? He offers up his daughters, his virgin daughters, to men that want to lay down with other men. Yeah, see? So you have a lot of kind of wishy-washy garbage that's going on, but I don't believe the stories. Now, I want people to understand that, because Aaron, who's the high priest, did what? While Moses was up in the mountains getting them tablets, scribed out and everything for the Lord, he walked back down and he broke the 10 commandments. He broke the 10 commandments as a metaphor for he broke the 10 commandments himself. He murdered. He killed a man. See, when you're born into this realm, folks, don't think that anybody's perfect. You can talk about your prophets all day long. I guarantee you that the prophets, any prophet that walked with God, had to go through some trials before they realized, hey, something ain't right here. They just didn't come into this world never committing any kind of sin, never having any desire for a woman, never laying down with a woman, never fornicating, never lying, never cheating, never stealing, never covering any of this stuff. The Bible also tells us that the Lord will use his children, Israel, as a battle axe when it comes time to destroy this world. He's going to use his children. Now, what bothers me about this is the Bible's very sixth commandment is you shall not kill, or you shall not murder. So the Creator is given a commandment. The supreme self-existing eternal spirit of truth, the living God, is giving a commandment for us not to murder. And then he's going to turn around and he's going to say that he's using his own children to destroy the Gentile. Now, I know that there's a pecking order that exists here, and that there are a chosen people that are before the Lord. There are a chosen and anointed people. And I agree with that. But you have to admit, as you're reading this Bible with me, what I'm pointing out to you is true. And this is why since I've started talking about Aaron the priest and started talking about all these priests and stuff, my views have went down from regular views from 33 views. Now I'm down to like 27 regular views from my regular audience. So I've lost 6 viewers. I mean, I probably don't even have that many, to be honest with you. People that sit and listen to all my content, probably, you know, maybe 3 or 4 people maybe listen to my content, you know, and are on board with pretty much what I'm teaching. Well, they're on board because I'm humble, first of all, and I let people know I don't know everything about this Bible. I'm simply reading it with you. No one can take away that I'm reading this with you, and I'm showing you what doesn't sound right. So Aaron the priest was the one that built the calf out of gold. He built an idol, and he's still in a high priest position. No punishment at all. So clearly the creator, the spirit, the self-existing eternal one looked over Aaron building an idol with his own hands. And I find that very difficult to believe. You never get me to believe that Aaron built a damn calf with Israelites' gold and wasn't punished from the supreme creator. But clearly the Bible writes it up. In fact, when you look at everything that's written inside of the Bible seems to be that all of God's chosen children, the prophets, Jacob, Isaac, Abraham, Ishmael, Joseph, all these children, well, other than Joseph didn't become rich by doing anything that was off. Everybody else seemed to profit when they did things wrong. Jacob had his wife Rebecca hide inside of a box and stuff so that it could pass through, or had her say that, excuse me, different story, had her say that that she was his sister, and then in doing that act and saying that she was his sister, the king laid down with Rebecca. He placed Rebecca in a position that Rebecca would be in adultery. And then when the king does find out that Rebecca and Jacob are married, rather than destroying Jacob for his treachery, trying to lie, they're liars. I'm trying to tell you guys that